So sequences, what is the meaning of sequence? Sequence is generally just a list of numbers. The rough definition of sequences is just nothing but a list of numbers. A list of numbers, that's it. That is the meaning of sequence, and the various numbers that occur in a sequence, that occurs in a list, those are called as the terms of the sequence. Okay. So those are called as the terms of the sequence. So if I give you an example, let's say sequence 1, S1, let's say is equals to 2, 5, minus 3, 10, 11, and so on and so on and so on. So this 2 is one term, 5 is another term, minus 3 is another term. So we call these as terms. These are called as terms of the sequence, and they are generally represented by A and subscript. So A1, it is the notation for first term. Okay, first term is generally noted by A1, and this will be equal to 2. Second term will be A, and in subscript it is 2. A1 and A2, they will be related with each other. There is no such rule. It can be anything. A2 is not double of A1. Okay, don't think like that. There's a subscript 2, so it's just a variable. Second term, the term occurring at second position, which is 5. Third term is A3, which is minus 3. Then fourth term is 10. Fifth term is 11, and so on. So by that method only, what is the meaning of nth term? Nth term is the general value of the expression, means term occurring at the nth position. Term occurring at nth position. Nth position means I will give you the value of n and you will determine. So if I give you n is equals to, let's say, 2. N is equals to 2 means what? Sir, we are talking about the second term, not the first. N is equals to 2 means, sir, nth, second term occurring at the 2 position. 2 position, the second position, so that is an, nth term. If I give you n is equals to 3, n is equals to 3 means third term occurring at the third position, so that is negative 3 in this example. If I tell you fifth term is term occurring at the fifth position, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth position, so that is 11. Okay, so this is the meaning of nth term and A. So sequence, if I give you any rule, this is S1, S2 is let's say 2, 6, 12, 20, 30, so on. This is again some other random sequence of 2, 6, 12, 20, 30, and so on. If I ask you what is the next number, if I ask you what will be the next term of this sequence, by this just observing the first 5 numbers, 5 terms of the sequence, you cannot say that you can never answer what is the next term, because next term can come anything. There is no general rule that these 5 terms, the pattern that the first 5 terms which will be following, the same pattern the 6th term should also follow, the 7th term should also follow. There is no such rule. So what is the best way, if I want to convey the message that the pattern that the first 5 terms are following, the same rule, the same pattern, the same rule is being followed throughout the sequence for any number of terms. So I should convey that message properly. So S2 is not a proper way of conveying the message. But if I tell you, let's say another sequence called as, let's say S3, where in S3, AN is given by n multiplied by n plus 1. Okay. An, where n is given by n multiplied by n plus 1. So now this S3 is a very nicely defined sequence. So S3, how S3 will look like? So form, if I give you this question, S3 is given by the term sequence of terms an given by n into n plus 1. Form the sequence S3. So how you will calculate first term? To calculate the first term, so an is given by the nth term. Nth term is given by n multiplied by n plus 1. So if you want to calculate the first term of the sequence, you're calculating the first term of the sequence means a1. So you observe that in place of n you're putting 1. So in place of n you're putting 1, so it becomes 1 into 1 plus 1. So the answer is 2. So the second term, in place of n you're putting 2. So it becomes 2 into 2 plus 1. So the answer becomes 6. So third term is calculated by 3 multiplied by 3 plus 1. So the answer becomes 12. The fourth term will be 20. 4 into 5. And so on and so on and so on. So you can S3 you can write the general term as follow. The general S3 you can write up to any number of terms. 2, 6, 12, 20, dot 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 an, where an is given by n multiplied by n plus 1. This is a very nice way of conveying the message, that I have conveyed my message perfectly. At 2, 6, 12, 20, whatever pattern they are following, the same pattern is being followed throughout. But in second one, that there is a lot of doubts. You cannot say for sure that the next term will be 6 multiplied by 740. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So some questions. Basic terminology, finite sequence and infinite sequence. I think from the name itself it is clear. Finite sequence is a sequence containing finite number of terms. So let's say a sequence of 10 terms, 100 terms, or maybe 1 crore terms. 1 crore terms are there. 1 crore is still a finite number. Number of terms is 1 crore. A sequence containing finite number of terms. 1 crore terms, let's say. An infinite sequence, a sequence containing infinite number of terms. So question number 1. In a sequence, an is given by three n plus 5. Form the first 5 terms of the sequence. should be over by now.
Yes, sir. Done, sir.
So A1, how will you calculate sir A1? Just in place of n, substitute 1. So 3 into 1 plus 5, so that will be 8. A2, in place of n, just substitute 2. So 3 to the 6 plus 5 is 11. A3, so 3 into 3 plus 5, 9 plus 5 is 14, then comes 17, and then comes 20. Question number 2. In a sequence, an is given by is it over students?
Yes, sir.
A5 will be minus 1 to the power 5 minus 1 multiplied by 3 to the power 5 minus 2. So that will be sir minus 1 raised to 4 is positive 1. Positive 1 multiplied by 27. So the answer is 20.
Yes,
A7.
sir.
A7 will be sir minus 1 raised to 7 minus 1 multiplied by 3 to the power 7 minus 3. So minus 1 raised to 6 is a positive 1, and this is 3 to the power 5. So that turns out to be equal to 2.
243. Yes, sir.
In a sequence, an is equals to I'm not reading the question because I want you to interpret the question yourself. What actually does the question wants to say? I'm purposefully not reading it. Write the answers in the chat box when you have completed. If you are unable to interpret the question, write EXP in the chat box. What is this Z? The Z which is here. I hope you can. Z is the set of integers. Standard notation. Natural numbers n, integers Z. Getting students, or shall I explain? Pujita, Dhananjay, Afreen. Pujita, I cannot hear you.
Sir, explain, sir. Sir, you muted me, sir.
Okay, yes, if by mistake it happened.
Explain, sir.
Afreen, did you get? See, respond something. Afreen and Dhananjay not responding. Okay, see. First, you should interpret the question. What he is saying is a sequence is given by where the nth term, an is the nth term. Nth term is either n square minus 1 upon 2, or it is given by n square plus 1 upon 2. So now, so how to decide which formula to use? So for that, he has given the condition. If n belongs to 2m plus 1, means if n is of the form 2m plus 1, where m belongs to an integer, Mumbai. If n Nagpur is of the form 2 times Mumbai plus 1, means 2 times some integer plus 1, then use this formula. And the term that you are looking for, nth term, the term, let's say 100th position, if the position that you are looking for, that is the value of n. If that position n, if it can be expressed in the form 2 times Mumbai, or that is 2 times some integer, then use the second formula. So basic interpretation of this 2m plus 1, 2 times some integer plus 1 and 2 times some integer. It is something like if n is odd, if n is equal to odd, 2 times integer plus 1 means n is equals to odd, and n 2 times some integer means n is equals to even. Whatever number that you are looking for, whatever position that you are looking for, if that is an even position number, so use the second formula. If that is an odd position number, 2 times integer plus 1, so use the above formula. Got the interpretation of the question? So when we are seeking the 10th position, 10th term of the sequence, 10th term n is equals to 10. So can you see that it is something of the form 2 multiplied by m, where m is equals to 5. It is of the second form. Got it? So the formula that we will be using is, sir, the 10th position is given by second formula, n square plus 1 upon 2. That is, so 10 square addition 1 upon 2. So that will be 101 upon 2. Got it? So the 11th term that you are talking about, sir, n is equals to 11. Whether 11 is something 2 times integer plus 1 or 2 times an integer, 11 is a 2 times an integer plus 1. I hope everybody can say this. So n will be equal to 5. Yes or no? Got it? So for in order to find the 11th term, the formula that we will be using is n square minus 1 upon the above formula.
Sir? Sir, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I got disconnected.
Voice is breaking.
No, sorry, I got disconnected. That's why. Now can you hear me properly?
Sir, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So here I was telling the 11th term will be given, the formula we will be using is the above one, n square minus 1 upon 2. So that will be equal to 11 square minus 1 upon 2. 121 minus 1 is 120. 120 upon 2 is 6. Is the explanation clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In a sequence, an is equals to, let's say, 2n square plus 3n minus 5. Find the difference between fifth and sixth term. Question number 4 should be easy. The motive behind giving question number 4 is don't go on finding each and every term. That's first I will find the first term, then second, then third term, then fourth term, then fifth term. It's not necessary. It's unnecessary, not needed at all. But he has asked you difference between fifth term and sixth term. So calculate sixth term. We just need to substitute 6 wherever you can see n, whichever position, wherever the n occurs, Just put 6 there. Wherever you for
Done, sir.
Okay. And do question number 5. Question number 4, the answer is 25.
Yes, sir. I got correct.
Afrin, was the 4th one clear? No doubts.
Yes, sir.
Question
Could you
number
show the answer of third one, sir? Third one.
third one is this.
Yes, sir. One second. That's
Answer question number 5.
Sir, fifth one done, sir.
What's the answer?
903.5.
No, wrong it is. Here I should just write an is equals to an minus 1 plus 1 upon 2 for n greater than. Dhananjay, are you able to do the 5th one? Dhananjay Afrin. See, an is given by an minus 1 addition 1 complete is divided by 2. So how you should read it, how you should read this question is, don't read as an is equals to an minus 1 plus 1 upon 2. In your mind, the interpretation should go something like this. Means interpretation means something that we did in previous question. N belongs to 2m plus 1, n belongs to 2m. The interpretation in your mind should go like this: n belongs to odd, n belongs to even. So that way, this interpretation is something like the nth term, any term of the sequence is given by the previous term addition 1 upon 2. What is the position wise relation between an and an minus 1? You can see now any term, it is equals to an and an
Yes.
minus 1. An minus 1 is the previous position with respect to an. That is, if you put n equal to 100, so a100 and a99. This is a one term, one position prior to a100. If you put n equal to 50, this is a50 and a49, one position prior to a50. Okay. So any term of the sequence is equals to previous term addition 1 upon 2. So this will be applicable. Suppose, for example, you wanted to calculate 50th term. So a50 will be equal to, sir, a49 plus 1 upon 2, but I don't know a49. Then what will be your target? So first let me calculate a49. Okay, so now you will put n equal to 49. So a49 is equals to a48 plus 1 upon 2. So I don't know a48. Okay, so now in order to calculate a48, sir, I will calculate a47. In order to calculate a47, I should know a46. So basically, in order to calculate the 50th term, a50, I should know a49 also, a48 also, a49. In order to know that, I should know 48. In order to know that, I should know 46, 45, 44, 43, 42, so on up to the fifth position, fourth position, third position, second position, first position, something like that. And here this condition is important: n greater than or equal to 2. Means this formula, if you put, suppose n is equals to 1, suppose n is equals to 1, then it becomes a1 is equals to a times 1 minus 1 is 0. A0 plus 1 upon 2, which is meaningless because the 0th term, our sequence is starting from the first position, not from the 0th position. Depending on various sequences, sometimes A0 is also used. It is called as A0, but here we are not bothered to go that details. So A2, so how to calculate A2? A2 will be calculated by, sir, A1 addition 1 upon 2. Here, second position equal to first position plus 1 upon 2. Sir, is the first position known? Yes, it is my duty to let you know the first position. In the question itself, I have told you first term is 2. Cannot calculate first term on your own. It will be equal to 2 plus 1 upon 2. So the second position, second term is 3 by 2. What will be third term? Third term will be equal to second term, the previous term plus 1 upon 2. Previous term is what, sir? 3 by 2. Addition 1. Complete divided by 2. 3 by 2 plus 1 is 5 by 2. And 5 by 2 is divided by 2. So is the third position 5 by 4? Correct. Then what will be fourth? So fourth term will be equal to previous term addition 1 upon 2. What is previous term? So previous term is 5 by 4 addition 1 upon 2. So this is 9 by 4 upon 2. So 9 by 8. That is what is asked of me. I was asked to calculate the fourth term. So the answer is 9 upon 8. Got it? Everyone? Dhananjay, Afrin? The chat. After each and every question in the chat box, just write yes or no. Even if you just write single letter Y, that will also be okay. So that we don't waste time. Yes, tell me. Don't waste time whether you get or not. Sometimes the voice problem is also there. So just write yes, no, yes, no. Okay. Question number 6. In a sequence, first and second terms are -1 and 2. respectively. And sixth and seventh term is asked of. If you are unable to interpret the questions or how to start, I am not able to get it. Type EXP in the chat box. Ujita wrong. Afrin, I will explain. Okay. Ujita, all the answers will be in integers, no fractions. Dhananjay, you are not replying. Dhananjay, are you getting?
Sir, yes, sir. I'm using my phone and my data is not proper, sir. So that's why.
Okay. See, an equal to an minus 1 plus twice an minus 1. How to interpret this question? So, three things are given: an minus 1, and an minus 2. So actually, you should think of this as to calculate the nth term, whatever is asked of me, whatever position you will ask me to find, to calculate the term at that position. I will require the previous position and the prior to prior position, the one term before that also. The previous position and previous to previous position. You should think the position wise. So any term is equals to the previous term addition 2 times whatever term is prior to that. So this becomes valid. So if I put, sir, forgetting about this condition, if this condition is not given, sir, a1, if I just put a1, that is the first term, is equals to, it will become a naught. So it is meaningless. A naught plus something 2 times a minus 1. 1 minus 2 is minus 1. So how can be a minus 1 and a naught? Those are meaningless. So we cannot calculate a1 using this formula. So if I cannot calculate a1 using this formula, then sir, how to find? So it is my responsibility to give you a1. So therefore I have given you a1 is equals to -1. If you think, sir, if I substitute n is equals to 2, it becomes a2 is equals to a previous term, that is a1. Okay, that I know. 2 plus 2 times a naught. A naught, sir, it is a meaningless term. 0th term, it is meaningless. So how to calculate, sir? I cannot calculate a2 by the formula that you have given. So how to calculate a2? So to solve that question of yours, I have responsibly given you that the first 2 terms are -1 and 2. So I have given you the second term also. So it was my responsibility. If I'm telling you to solve using this question, it was my responsibility to give you first and second term, which I have given. Now, once this is over, third term you can calculate. So a3 will be equal to the previous term a2 addition 2 times a1. Is this clear? I just substituted n is equals to 3. 8 times 2 plus 2 times a1. So it will be equal to a2 is 2 plus 2 times -1, which turns out to be 0. So a4 will come out to be some previous term as it is 2 times previous to previous term, that is a2. So previous term 0 as it is, 2 times previous to previous term, that is 2. 2 2s are 4. Got it? A5 is what? Term as it is, previous term plus 2 times prior to prior term. So previous term, that is 4 as it is, 2 times before that is 0. It is 4. A6 will be what? So previous term as it is, addition 2 times prior to prior term. So a5 as it is plus 2 times a4 is 4 only. So it becomes 12. Got it? What is going on, everyone? A7.
Could you please scroll down, sir?
A6 plus 2 times previous to previous term. A6 is 12.
720.
And 2 times prior to prior. The 7th term is 20. Got it, Afrin?
Yes, sir.
Here, with practice, it comes. If you are quite confident with this interpretation, nf is equals to previous addition 2 times previous to previous. So the vertical method that I have solved, this is with, means every time when you have to substitute a3 plus twice a2, you have to go on looking for the above values. Horizontally, this becomes little bit time saving. You can save a lot amount of time, but in this methods, chances of committing silly mistakes are very high, and you should be very much confident to use this horizontal method. It's -1 and 2. Confident means your interpretation should be very much strong. Previous plus 2 times prior to prior. So you want to calculate this term. So previous 2 times addition of, means 2 plus addition of 2 times this previous term. So -2 plus 2 is 0. Then to calculate the next term, sir, this previous term addition as it is, and 2 is multiplied by the previous to previous. So 2 2s are 4 plus 0 is 4. Now to calculate the next term, this previous term is added as it is, and 2 is multiplied by the previous to previous term. So 2 zeros are 0 plus 4 is 4. So on. Got it? One last
Yes,
sum
sir.
of this. One last sum of this sort. One minute. Done, students?
Yes, sir.
No, I'm waiting. I thought it's not over. What's the answer, Afreen? Pujita? Is it over?
I'm getting -1/2, sir.
See, n is odd, n is even. So why first and second? Any nth term is equals to previous term is also required, n minus 1. So previous term is also required, and the previous to previous term is also required. So the preceding two terms are required to calculate any term. So preceding two terms are required. So first and second term we cannot calculate by the formula. Fortunately for us, first and second term have been given to us ready-made. A1 and A2, 1 and -1. A1 is 1, A2 is -1, that is given to us. So A3, which formula you will use? You will use the first formula. Do you realize this? Because n is odd. So A3, if we will use the first formula, so that gives us 2 times the previous term. 2 times the previous term addition the previous to previous term upon 2. So that will become 2 times -1 addition 1 upon 2. So A3 is equals to -1/2. Clear?
Yes, sir.
A4. So for A4, we will use the second formula since n is even. Since n is even, we will use 2 times the previous term. Previous term is A3 minus previous to previous, that is A2 upon 2. So now here I will use 2 times A3. So what is A3? So A3 is -1/2 minus previous to previous. Previous to previous is what's -1. Got it? A2. A2. So it is -1 upon 2. So, 2 times negative half is -1, and -1 subtraction -1 is 0 only. So A4 equal to 0. Clear till this step?
Yes, sir. Yes,
A5.
sir.
A5 first formula I will use. So now I will directly write this step. How to interpret 2 times previous, 2 times previous addition prior. So A5 is so 2 times previous, 2 times previous addition prior to prior, that is -1/2. This complete upon 2. So this will be equal to -1/4. A6 is equals to the second formula we will use. 2 times previous, 2 times previous is -1/4. Subtraction prior to prior is
Both
0.
answers -1/4.
Yes, both answers will be -1/4. What was asked, I think so 5th and 6th term were only asked. Yes, 5th and 6th terms were only asked. So this is my answer. Got it?
Yes,
Is
sir.
it clear, students? Okay. I know in my background some noise is coming. Just bear with it for 5 minutes. The sequences, it's clear to us. Series is what? Series is just the representation of sequence in the addition form. Okay. So let's say series is the representation. I underline this word representation. Series is just a representation of the sum of terms of sequence in addition form. Okay, so let's say example sequence 1 is equals to, let's say, 2, 5, 1, 4, 10, so on. So series 1, series corresponding to this sequence is represented by 2 plus 5 plus 1 plus 4 plus 10. It is just a representation, nothing more. Don't say that's a series 1 is equals to 2 plus 5, 7, 7 plus 1, 8, 8 plus 4, 12, 12 plus 10, 22. Don't say that the series 1 is 22. No. I have not done the actual addition. I have just represented in the form using the plus sign. If at all you want to express this addition number 22, so you should write sum of series 1. Explicitly, you should mention the word. Sum of the series is 22. Got it? So this is just a definition of series, nothing more. Now we will start with arithmetic progression. So arithmetic progression, in short, it will be represented by AP. So what is arithmetic progression? Arithmetic progression, a definition we have already seen in 10th standard. A lot of part was already covered up in 10th standard. So definition, I will just write a sequence in which difference between a term and its previous term. Difference between a term and its previous term is constant. If it is fixed, constant बोलने से अच्छा है, is fixed. Instead of saying constant, let's write the word fixed. Sequence, a difference between a term and its previous term is fixed. This difference is called common difference, represented by, I will just quickly some examples of sequences of AP. So let's say 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, 17, and so on. I hope this definition is already clear because basics we have already done in 10th standard. So
Yes,
difference
sir.
between 5 and 2 is 3, difference between 5 and 8 is 3, difference between 8 and 11, 3, 11 and 14, 3. This is also 3. So this is an AP. This is an AP. If I give you this sequence, for example, let's say 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, and so on. This is again an AP. Keep this in mind. So just the common difference is what? So common difference will be 0.
Yes, sir.
Not a problem at all. Common difference is 0. The difference between term and its previous term, it should be fixed. Now here, this third example, let's say 11, 9, 7, 5, 3, 1. This is again an AP. Here the common difference is negative. Don't say that's a common difference is equals to 11 minus 9. No, we take term and its previous term. Term and its previous term, so negative 2. Term and its previous term, 11 minus 9, negative. 5 minus 7, negative 2. 3 minus 5, negative 2. Term and its previous term, negative 2. Got it? So this is again an AP. But consider this example. 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, so on. This is not an AP. Can you see that this is not an AP?
Yes, sir.
Because here, so the difference between first two terms, term and its previous term, here the difference is 3. Here the difference, term and its previous term, so difference is negative.
Minus 3. Yes, sir.
Here again the difference is 3. Now A4, sorry, A5, fifth term minus fourth term, the difference comes out to be negative 3. So we are not into the difference is not same. Sometimes it is 3, sometimes it is minus 3. Either it should be complete. Okay, so this is not an 8. So common terminology is the notations in an AP. In an AP, you can either represent it as T1, T2, T3, T4, so on up to Tn, or you can represent it. These are terms. Terms 1, terms representation, term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, term nth term, or you may represent it by A1, A2, A3, A4. Generally, you can use Tn also, term 1 or A1, A2, A1, so on also. So the first term, there is a standard notation. The standard notation is simply A. First term, the letter A you can reserve, but not a compulsion. Be free to use the variables, and the common difference. Common difference is represented generally by the standard letter T. So we know that now. T2 minus T1, or let's say Tn, nth term is equals to, sir, nth term and the previous term. This is equals to the common difference. This is the definition itself. Term minus its previous term is the definition itself. So I will just interpret, I will just read it as some other part. Previous term addition D, it's one and the same thing. Tn minus 1 is equal to D. So Tn equal to, so the previous term plus D. So I will, instead of writing it as this way, I will just interpret my sequence as this way. First term I will use the letter A. Second term I will use, sir, A addition D. Previous term, this formula I am using now. Previous term addition D. Previous term addition D. So previous term addition D, A plus B. So to calculate the third term means the previous term addition D. So A plus D plus D. So A plus 2D.
A plus 2D.
Yes. A fourth term, the previous term plus D. So A plus D
A plus 3D.
addition D. A plus 3D and so on. Tn. So Tn you can verify that it turns out to be A plus n minus 1 into D. Nothing difficult enough. This formula, though it seems to be very easy, but it has lot many tremendous applications. I want to tell you how to visualize this formula, means how to visualize an arithmetic progression. Think of it as means how to argue over arithmetic operation. Think of this argument as this T1, T2, T3, T4, so on. These are equally spaced numbers on the number line, not necessarily integers, not at all coinciding with integers. We don't want to impose any extra condition, any extra contents about integers and all those things. They can be anything. These are equally spaced points on the number line, equally spaced points because their difference is same. So T1 to T2 means I have to jump one step ahead, and the jump that I am making, the step that I am taking, my step is a constant, my jump is constant everywhere. My jump is how much? My jump is of D units, common difference D units. So if you want to go from T1 to T2, means you are jumping 1 unit means A plus 1 times T. If you want to go from T1 to T3, you are jumping 2 units, so plus 2D. If you want to go from 1 to N, so total 1 to N is N terms. The jump that you are making, first, second, third, fourth, you're going N minus 1 steps ahead. N minus 1 jumps ahead. So that turns out to be equal to A plus N minus 1. Got it? From the starting point to how many jumps that you are taking, that is equals to N minus 1 jump of D units, so N minus 1 jumps of N minus 3 units. Got it? So
Yes, sir.
if you are comfortable with jump approach, this the steps that I've told you, the numbers are equally spaced. If I just say true or false, A12 is equal to A5 plus 7D. True or false? Second, A20 is equal to A12 plus 8D. Or A16 is equals to A25 plus 9D. A32 is equals to A4 plus 8D. TF, something like that, right in the chat box. I'm directly taking you to these questions because the basics you have done in 10th, and these questions should be just 1 minute question. Right? Write your answers in the chat box. TF, something like that. Come on, students, I'm not receiving any answers. Dhananjay, what do you think? True or false? True or false? You are not answering this question, so I am guessing two things.
Sir,
Either it's
First
very
1,
easy
2
for
questions
you.
is true.
Okay.
3, 4 I am doing, sir. 1 minute, sir.
Okay. Now 1 minute. Tell me the method by which
First,
you concluded the first two questions. It's the time
The
that you have
A5
taken.
value I substituted, sir. A plus 4D.
Okay.
Plus 7D is there, no, sir. 7 plus 4, 11. A plus 11D is A, 12. A.
Okay. That way you did. Okay. Dhananjay, that approach is not wrong, but it's unnecessarily a long approach. Afrin, what method did you use, Afrin?
Sir, I actually commonly set it as true, sir.
Yes, first two you're saying that the first, your answer is the first two answers are true. So I'm telling you one what logic did you use to answer the first? Means what method did you use?
I did, sir.
Okay,
The
see.
third one, it's coming false for me.
Yes. Okay, see. What the steps this question was given so that you should understand the step approach. If you understand the importance of that step approach, you will save a lot of time. Otherwise, if you go by the traditional method, then these are races with the time. The exam, you have to you have very less time for each and every question. So now see,
Sir,
what is
third
a
and
trade?
fourth are false.
Yes, third and fourth are false. In school, what traditional approach we used to do, sir? A5. A5 I will write as A plus n minus 1d, that is A plus 4d. So A12. A12 I will use a standard formula, that is A plus n minus 1, that is 11 times d. Now I will compare these two things. Correct? A5 and A12. Now I will compare these two things. So sir, A12 minus A5, if I want to do second expression minus first expression, it turns out to be 70. So A12 is equals to A5 plus 70. That is true. So you answer said yes, sir. First one is true. I have answered your question. Similarly, you do for second also. Similarly, you do for third. You verify for third and fourth also. The problem in this method is there is actually this step, this formula that you are writing. It is 100% correct. 100%. Nothing wrong in it. But I don't want this much time also. I don't have this much time also to verify 3 steps. The step approach, what does it tells me? Is 1 to n terms. These are equally spaced numbers on the number line. On the number line, these are some equally spaced points. This is my number line. I don't know. Integers can be anywhere. I'm not at all interested where exactly the integers are there. T1, T2, T3, T4, and this is, let's say this is Tn. And all these numbers are equally spaced. The distance between each of them is same. And the distance between them is d. So one jump, when you're taking one jump, that I'm talking of d units. So if you want to go from 5th position, here I'm telling you to compare the 5th position number and the 12th position number. So can't you see that's the 5th position wherever that number is, and 12th position wherever that number is? In between them, from to go from 5th position to 12th position, I will have to go 7 jumps. From 5th to 6th, 1, from 6th to 7th, another, from 7th to 8th, another, and so on. Something like this, a train is there, and in the train, you go from the 5th compartment to 12th compartment, you're going forward 7 jumps. So A5 plus 70. What we are habituated to in school is each and every time we compare with the first term. First term plus d, first term plus n minus 1d, first term plus 11d, first term plus 4d. Why are you getting addicted to first term? Can't you count that's a 12th term, 5th term plus 70, 20th term? 20th term will be, even if I tell you this question, some students, even if I ask this question, A20 is equals to A19 addition d. For this also they use the standard formula. So first I will substitute A20 is equals to A first term plus n minus 1 times d. So A19 I will use first term plus n minus 1 times d.
True. Yes, sir.
Such clerical job it is unnecessary. Why can't you write directly true? If by observation, if you're not directly writing true, means you have not understood the concept of it. Second, A20 is equals to A12 plus 80. What he's asking you is from the 12th position, if I go ahead 8 jumps, do I reach at the 20th position? Yes, sir, I do reach. In the third one, 16, A16 is equals to from the 25th position. If I go ahead 9 terms, do I reach at the 16th position? False.
No, sir.
You will have to retreat back. Retreat back means A25 minus 90. D can be negative. D can be positive. D should be positive or negative, not at all necessary. D can be negative, okay. But whatever D is the previous. Whenever you add a D means along with the signature. Whatever the signature of D is there. You are adding D means you are going to the next position, next term, succeeding term. So the succeeding term is 26th, then the 27th, then the 28th term, and so on. The last one, A32 and A4. Don't think the 32 divided by 4 is 8. So that is also not. Okay. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now solve this question in the shortest time possible. Okay. In an AP, twenty-fifth term is 125 and 20th term is 75. Yes, correct, Afrin. Wrong, Pujita. Dhananjay. Okay, see. A25 is given to me. A20 is given to me. I don't know the standard formula. Now I will not be teaching you using the standard formula. That method, say goodbye. Means don't say goodbye, but that will be a last resort. It is unnecessarily time consuming. A25 and A20, I know the relation. A25, I can write it as A20 addition 5 times D. Is this formula clear? 20th position, when I go 5
Yes,
units
sir.
ahead, 5 steps ahead. So 125 minus 75, that is A25 minus A20. This is equals to 5 times D. So can you see, sir, 50 is equals to 5D. So D is equals to 10.
10.
T is equals to 10. Now don't bother to calculate the first term. Why are you calculating the first term? What he's asking you, he has asked you to calculate the 26th term. So this 26th term is very near to this 25th term. It's very near. So I will take help of the 25th term. 26th term and 25th term, how are they related? From the 25th term, so just go 1 unit ahead. 1 unit ahead, one step is a jump of D units. 1 times
125 plus 10.
125 plus 10. That's it.
135.
135.
Got it?
Yes,
School
sir.
will-
One more answer.
In an arithmetic progression, A30 is 155 and A16 is equals to 204. Wrong, Pujita. So A30 and A16, how are they related? They are related by a difference of 14 jumps. 14 jumps means 14D. Okay, Afri. 1 minute, not more than 1 minute.
Okay, sir.
No, wrong, Pujita.
Sir, could you say how this 14D came, sir?
16 and 30. From 16 to 30, 14 units ahead, na? 14 jumps ahead.
Okay, sir.
Got it? 14D.
Yes, sir.
100% clear, no? 100% clear.
Yes, sir.
So from 16, the 16th position, I'm jumping ahead 14 from 17th, 18, 19, 20, 14 units ahead. 14 units ahead means 14D it is actually. Okay, so 155 minus 204 is equals to
Minus
14 times D. So this is equals to negative 49
minus 49.
is equals to 14.
Minus 7 by 2.
So D is equals to minus 7 by 2. Let it be as it is. Don't convert it to point. And now what he has asked, 812. So 812. So 812 is the number near to 16. So I will take help of that one. A16 and A12. You could have taken with respect to 30 also, but I'm just avoiding huge calculations. With respect to 12 and this 16th and 12th, how are they related? From the 12th position, I have to go ahead 4 jumps. So from the 12th position, addition 4D will lead me to the 16th position. Got it? D is negative 7 by 2, Pushta, not 7 by 2. From the 12th position, addition 4D will give me 16. This addition will always be there, irrespective whether your D is positive, negative, 0, whatever, I don't know. From the 12th position to 16th position, it will always be 12th addition 4D to 16th position. Now, 16th position is 204.
218 answer.
Yes. 204 minus 4D is the 12th position. So 204 minus 4 into minus 7 by 2 is the 12th, and 812 it turns out to be this 7 to the 14, 14 with a positive, so 280. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Further questions we will do tomorrow.